Welcome back to College Football 26, episode 25, quarter century mark, and we're jumping straight into off-season mode, beginning with our players leaving. The list was looking like it's going to be pretty short on the transfer side of things. And it is, but it does include one who is heading for the draft very early, though I did suspect that was going to be the case. We've got a 94 overall middle linebacker who's headed to the second round of the draft. Sad to be losing our backup quarterback. He's same class as the other one, so actually I kind of expected that one. Outside of that, we're looking at guys in the 70s, and only one of them a freshman, and this is playing style or playing time for the whole group. We have the ability to try to persuade 8, which there's less than 8 leaving. And for all 7, our persuasion attempt failed, so all 7 are leaving the program. In addition, we've got a Greg. Greg is graduating, so he's headed to the NFL draft, as is our senior right edge in Armin Patrick, headed for the draft. That's at least 3 players in this draft class. Plenty of players in the 80s, though, so it's going to be a lot to replace, but that is kind of the state of where we're at now. We're able to keep more and more and more players all the way through graduating, which means you've got quality by that point, especially when we are now far enough into this series that it's pretty much all 3-star guys. Virtually all of them are 3 stars or better, so you've almost always got quality in the player by the time they graduate. But this is how we want it. And we end up actually squeezing in a 4th player with our other defensive edge. Schmitz, the other starter on the opposite side in 89 overall, gives us 4 guys in the draft all at once, and I think we just passed the number 4 like a year ago. We had 2 guys and went from 3 to 5, and now we get 4 a year later. This is definitely a program headed in a different direction than it was just a few years back. It's also going to help a lot with the pro potential ratings, especially on defensive edge. For that one, a lot of things are happening to help us on the recruitment side. Now, if we stay at 2 stars, it might still behoove us to stick primarily to the unrecruited individuals in that 3-star category for almost all of our class of 35. I mean, this year we did get all the way to 35 players. This last year it was amazing. Now we're going to see if we can replicate that on a yearly basis or close to. But are we ready to start competing for guys? I did a little bit last year and did win some of those, but it took being aggressive and going 50 hours from the get-go on some 4-star guys, which we were able to then go and secure. We make progress more quickly, and as we add another half-star or star, that's going to again trend in that right direction, and so recruitment gets easier and easier, and we can compete more and more. But I still think we're going to be taking about half of our class, even down the stretch, from guys that others are not actively recruiting. This class has been something new, something refreshing, and we're still working on it, and we're heading into that last phase. We've got so many seasons recently. We've hit this point of the year and still had 0 signings. We've got a ton already. We've got quite a few guys signed up. You can see there's one lost, one that we just lost, and that was a sad one too, because I was so far ahead and did the last week to hit commit, put the hours in to hit that commit, and we were so far ahead, and then it kicked off a recruiting battle. What is that, Florida State? So anyway, whoever that is, they were just crossing the line into the top 3 status as I was hitting commit status, and that somehow gave them a battle, which they then were able to just barely outpace us and get his signature during the bowl season. Frustrating that we lost that one when we had it comfortably. But beyond that, all those extra signatures, and it looks like we've lost one on pro potential tight end. It's been enough years since, it's only been a couple of years since our tight end got drafted, but we've got a couple holes to fill, but we're looking so good for the vast majority of the 35 that we have right now, with many signatures already even established and healthy leads for so many of the 35, where normally at this point I have a lot more of this scenario right here where we are a little bit ahead, but not significantly, and if Maryland really wanted it, they could take them off of us. Now I could almost certainly throw in the 50 hours and hold them off. I also did get, for just the second time in the entirety of this series, one of those almost immediate signatures. We gave an offer to Warren Freeman, and a week later, we put in, I think it was 10 hours or 25 hours to get him going, and he signed just like that. 3-star this time, so better than the 2-star we had that on previously, and I think that's definitely a sign of the progress we're making in terms of prestige. Heading into the final week of recruiting, so signing imminent, and I think we're looking really good for all 35, with the exception, I guess, of one. This is the only close one we have, and that is Duke breathing down our neck on this one, and you can see how they're making progress. Now, the visits for both schools were taken care of in week 1 and week 2. They made a ton of progress on that visit, but for week 3, you can see that they gained about half. We are not going to, I don't think we're going to hit commit status. We're sending the house and have been sending the house throughout. So it's a 4-star wide receiver, very talented player. Duke, this is going to be super close on whether they sign with us or Duke. Outside of that, we should have all 34. We did get Alwa's signature in the end, so that worked out, and we end up with a class of 35. Though sadly, it was just 4-star recruits out of that. This was a year where I think only one of those 4 was uncontested. In the past seasons, we've been able to find 4 to 5 and only win even a single slightly late on contested battle, because other programs come so much faster and harder than anything we can do recruitment wise. So we were really lucking out to find a few 4-star guys each season that were uncontested. This year, like I said, there was only one. So it was much tougher. I was battling for quite a few and had to give up on some, but we actually did win some battles, and some of those were contested much earlier than we're used to having. So it was a tougher competition this year than previous years, and we still ended up with 4 guys. One thing I've been forgetting to check here in recent seasons has been where we compare to the other recruited classes. And there it is. So 32nd is our rank. Part of that is coming down to number. We have a larger recruiting class than what everybody else has. They're all getting 18 to 25. Cal at 30 is the only other one to even reach 30 that I've seen up to this point. We got 35 guys, but only 4 stars. And that's going to be where we need to start shifting this thing. We have a huge class. It's all 3-star and above guys. We're doing really well with the number of commits and the overall depth of quality of commits that we are getting, but it's the higher end that we're going to need to compete more and more frequently for in coming seasons. But this year, that first wave of guys that I wanted to get after, we got after them. We really got after them. And also a difference from other years, 4 guys, I think, are transfer, 3-star transfer guys. So we are picking up a little bit larger transfer group to immediately retool for next season. Just 2 athletes to place into a position for this year. And one of them's quite obvious as a running back, starting as a 71. So is the other one quite obvious, a 68 overall running back. One of those transfers is a quarterback who knew playing time was going to be in his favor in a year. Sebastian's heading into that senior season, so Countess only has to wait a year, and then he'll take over as the junior quarterback and should have development here in a moment. So he'll be high 70s, meaning when he takes over as a junior, he'll be he'll be well into the 80s already. So that's good for the future. Now, of course, with Gray graduating, that's a gigantic hole to fill at running back. However, we do have a player already into the 80s. We have a couple guys in the mid 70s behind him. Drake probably has the quality, as Johnson did a year ago, to most likely not redshirt this year. You can see most of these guys haven't redshirted, but Giacobbe, Rousseau, those guys are going to get that opportunity. And Rousseau at just a 62, does he have another position? Oh, hell no. Allworth, the one we just barely got there at the end of the recruiting cycle, the one we nearly lost, he's a 76 overall as a true freshman. And you can see with Kane and then Alba right behind him also, the other 4-star. So we got 2 4-star wide receiver recruits, mid 70s already for both of them. It's going to be hard to redshirt those guys. They've got the kind of quality to step in right away. A junior wide receiver who's been on the squad for a while, looks like he's the one who would be redshirting this year, but he's been around. Yikes on that part. I don't think he's going to be... He's probably going to leave the program at the end of the year. He wants to be a halfback. Freshman tackle, 76 overall. He's going to get overtaken by Fowler and probably Whipple with development here shortly, but that's a good start to our group there. Freshman also at the top, but left guard, big hole to fill, as we had a senior running that position before. And I'm guessing that maybe I want to move one of these two over to that left guard position, at least for this year. Oh, he's significantly better outside of being a center anyway. You can definitely tell our line is headed for a higher level of quality what we've had in a year prior. We've been struggling to get guys above low 70s, and all of a sudden we're looking at a right tackle who's already a 77, a right guard who's already an 82 with a 78 backup, and 84 at the center position, and 85 at the left guard. We just pulled off center, and soon to be upper 70s, if not low 80s, at the left tackle position, meaning we've got quality and a fair amount of depth, and that's brand new to us because we did not have that on the offensive side of the ball at all. We're going to have to move one of these guys over to the left edge. And onto those training results, nobody is in the 90-plus category. None of them. That part's sad, but we are still looking really good. We've got some quality out there. We definitely have some quality. A lot of players in the 80s. Sebastian did not improve his rating. He's still an 86 overall. Well, that sucks. It looks like he was maxed out on kind of all the key attributes already. Oh, but look at that. Ishmael, 78 behind him, and the new guy Countess only improves by 2. So it looks like we've got our previous actual high school recruit is the heir apparent for the quarterback position. John's hit mid 80s and Johnson's hit low 80s behind him, so we've got a good tandem. A 79 for our lead fullback, our senior fullback for the year, and plenty of wide receivers with an 80 plus, led by the senior wide receiver Owen at an 88. We've also got an 80 and a 78 behind him at tight end. Left tackle, okay, we got to a 77. Not the greatest, but good. And then 86 at guard, 85 at center, 85 at right guard, and 78 at tackle. So pass protection on the outer edges, a little bit on the weaker side. We're going to have the ability to run up the middle quite well with mid-80s at all three of those positions. 2 left edges, 80 plus, and then a 78 at right edge. Defensive tackle with an 83, so balanced and quality across all those positions and the guys that are backing them up. Strong side linebacker, 89. Middle with an 85 and 83. Weak with an 84, so plenty of quality there. And 85 at corner with a couple of mid-70s to back him up. An 83 and 80 at free safety. Great improvement from Soro. And strong safety, we have an 84 with a 77 to back him up. 86 at kicker, and an 81 at punter. And if I'm not mistaken, our new ratings, we are an 82 overall with 81 offense and 84 defense, which puts us a couple points down on defense, but otherwise about the same cross the board as a team. And it looks like we're keeping that 2 stars for the coming year as well. So even though we progressed, it was not enough to pick up the next half star. I would imagine it still progressed us, maybe from the lower end of a 2-star range to almost the 2.5-star range. So hopefully a similar season in the coming year will push us up. But part of that could be the conference that we are in. But we didn't win the conference last year. We were second. So we'll have to keep pushing and aim for the conference victory, the MAC conference this year. And maybe with that championship and a similar 11-win or 12-win kind of season, at least 10+ win season, we'll see ourselves hit that 2.5-star point. And I'm definitely thinking, not there yet, but another 1 to 2 conference victories. We'll think about moving little conference realignment and moving ourselves to something a bit more prestigious. Well, I've been focusing on this recruiter section for the last little while, and increased starting interest from wide receiver and tight ends is going to be great just as we go to head into that process. So we're going to spend 8 points there, and we still have 8 left, as this was one of those we hit 16 marks. We get 2 upgrades. Running backs, we definitely recruit more running backs than quarterbacks, so I'm going to go ahead and get into that one next. My prestige now sitting at an A-. Cardi is sitting at a B-, and the new coach Donahue is still sitting at a C. So I think we got a slight upgrade overall as a group of coaches as they average our prestige together. So not a huge for help forward recruiting, but it's good. Oh, hey, there you go. So we're still at 2 stars, but we are now an 84. Across the board, defense stayed in an 84, but the offense did improve, as I thought I was seeing. Their new rating is an 84, which brings up the team overall from an 82 to an 84. So we are now 84 across the board, both sides of the ball. Holy cow, that's fantastic. And yes, I feel like we should get back to winning the MAC championship again this year and have 11 wins minimum. I don't know if we're quite good enough to make the playoff just yet, but this team is just getting better and better. We are loading up more and more each season. Pro potential, the tight ends that were okay with the pro potential before, but now it's been 2-3 years since the last tight end was drafted. Suddenly there's a couple guys that were recruited based on that, and they are now worried. So we do face the possibility of losing a couple tight ends this season. Otherwise, everybody's pretty happy. Playing time, of course, will be a factor later on. And our non-conference slate this year is East Carolina, UConn, Ohio State on the road, and FCS Northwest. Week 1, automatic commit. Not even week 1. This is the preseason list. First set of 35. We got a 3-star, and Kyle Cummings, 3-star defensive tackle. Just like that, signed. Junior college sophomore is like the only JUCO player in the class that I'm after recruiting wise. I'm starting to stray away from those, but line, offensive and defensive line, is one of those places where that still really works because they bulk up over those couple of years. You could tell things are trending upwards, where a typical year after that first week is I've got maybe 12 to 14 guys left on the list. I've got 23. Now, one difference is I usually eliminate all of the ones with competition. Right now I have 4 that I'm still looking at, going, hey, we're right there, number 1, maybe number 2, and we've got a real shot at taking these guys, and it's at a position that typically has a lot of competition anyway, like safety, and you have to be more aggressive to get after those. So I just need to be aggressive. That's like 200 hours to go after those guys, so that's pretty iffy to commit that kind of time, especially for 3-star players. So I'll probably still trim it down by a couple more and maybe save 2 of them, the ones that really look best, strongest. But that's still 21 guys, where we normally have 12 to 14. There's definitely things trending in a direction that's making recruitment easier. And at the moment, I'm finding a lot of 4-star guys and even 2 5-star guys that don't yet have offers that we've got a chance to get after. But again, This is all 4 stars, 24 to 35, 4 stars and above, and we just don't have those kind of hours to spread around. So we're not going to get all of these guys, nowhere near it. But if we get 8 guys, we're trending upwards because we already know how to go and fill it back in with 3 stars after the fact when we start losing half of these guys. So as we settle in after that first 2 weeks before we've even gotten to that first football game of the year, we have our first group of guys, which includes 4-star Ohio kids. One of them, there is competition, or a couple of them, there is competition. At center, I want this guy. He's a gem, meaning while he's 4-star, he's a gem, which puts him a star above, which means he's actually a 5-star player. Incredible talent. We're going all in. This would be a massive, massive signing for us. This is 190th ranked, but again, that's not actually the quality. It's better than that because of the gem status. 6th center in the nation, even prior to the boost. Pitt and UK are the ones that we're going to have to beat out. So far, it looks like they've only offered and not put hours in, so we've got a real shot. Right tackle looking good with 50 hours. Here's the competition. This is the tough one. I may drop him sooner rather than later. We'll see what Pitt does this week. If Pitt pulls ahead of us this week, I'm guessing that wasn't a full 50. I'm guessing that was more like a 10 or 25. If they do pull ahead of us, we'll drop Folsom because we got Coffee right behind him without competition anyway. And then my 3, I cut it down to 3. 3 competitive 3-star guys, weak side linebacker, and they're all pretty good. This one's not as amazing as he could be. I think I need to drop some hours off, and we probably will soon. If we get anything going against Maryland and Toledo, we'll drop them down a little bit. Little competition on this corner, and that's the thing. It's the corners and safeties that are the hardest to go recruit good ones. This strong safety, he's the number 5 strong safety in the country, so would be a huge get for us. And the corner's 47th. He's top 500 nationally. But the safety, I think, is probably the most important, so I'm going to bump him up a couple to number 5 on our list. And then from 8 to 18, we are first on every single one of their lists. We're the only ones offering, but it's only the scholarship, so it's slow burn, but we're at the top of the list. And then Cummins is my marker down to the guys that we aren't already on the list, which is 20 to 23. So there's only 4 of those this year that I'm getting after, which is quite different from other seasons. And those are all high ranking, like this is the number 5 kicker in the nation. And then we get into the 4 and 5-star guys that I added after week 1 so far, and this is where I need to shift things a little bit if I'm going to have any success with this. I've got just 2 that I'm going all in on 50 hours. A quarterback, an athlete who is probably a running back, 50 hours on each. We're already number 1 on each of them, and just behind them, but I'd very much like to start putting the 50 hours into these 2 guys, is a right edge and right guard who we've just jumped to number 1 on their list. And then the others that are each and every one of them still unrecruited by anybody else. No offers in to the rest of them, and that's 4 stars and even 2 5-star guys, which I've never gotten a 5-star recruit yet. I would love to, but we'd have to take all these hours away up here or sign these guys really quick and then get to that next wave. I think if anything, these 2, dropping them down to 25 sooner rather than later, allows me to go after 1 more of that bottom set of guys. But the 8 to 23, 24, whatever it was, those guys aren't going to get any hours anytime soon. So the season opener is against East Carolina, 71 overall. We're at home. Should be a fairly comfortable win, but plus 13 is not massive. Yeah, at home though, definitely should come away. We must have had an injury to our quarterback in week 1 because week number 2 had the redshirt freshman Ishmael at quarterback, and he threw 388 yards on 58 pass completion percentage. There we go. Hard to say that apparently. 5 touchdowns. MAC Offensive Player of the Week. UConn was actually a slightly better team than East Carolina with 72 overall instead of 71, and we were on the road. Figured it was going to be a tougher game, but the East Carolina one ended up actually being much closer, 43-37. We come away with a 6-point victory, but then UConn, we go and crush 59-17. But I'm thinking that's more of where our team is at right now, meaning you could have a bad day and still come away with a win, as in what we did with East Carolina, or have a more typical day, which is beating UConn. I think Ohio State, though, you're not going to be in that scenario, right? They're going to be in that 95-plus territory, and we're on the road. Ohio State's going to kick our rear ends. They're undefeated to start the season, even though they're only ranked 10th. That's down for their standard, but that's still incredibly good. It's not like we started this season ranked or anything, so they don't think that highly of us still. But it looks like we're poised for a 3-1 start to the non-conference season and heading into the conference slate. Well in position to do the 7-1 or better type record, meaning we should head into a MAC championship at roughly 10-2, possibly 11-1. So Sebastian, our senior quarterback, has picked up a dislocated knee that is going to see him miss 4 more weeks. He already missed last week. That definitely could hurt us a bit, missing our 86 overall quarterback, but Ishmael at 78 is a decent young guy. Ohio State, though, is going to be way too much for him to handle that load, and it could be a rough scoreline. Holy cow! We're 3-0. We have upset Ohio State on the road. 20-17. We are now ranked. They have slipped to 18th. We are up to 21st. We can run the calendar. 12-0 regular season. Win the MAC championship to go 13-0. That is the type of record that could get us into the playoff. To lose in the first round, but would be a massive prestige boost to us. I have no idea how we just beat Ohio State. They were ranked only 10th. It did not show me what their quality was. Sometimes it's weird about that. Sometimes it'll show you. It was showing me UConn's again, so I didn't see just how good Ohio State is this year. But how good was this performance? They beat us comfortably in yards, first downs, all the big things. Yards per play was even, though they just ran more. They had longer drives. Our yards we got 14 yards on 24 carries, but we were 27 for 41 in the air with 7.7 yards per pass. So we had bigger plays to keep us in this thing, even though the passing yards still only ended up 20 above what they did. Either team was terribly effective on third down. They were 2 for 3 on fourth, where we were 0 for 1. How in the world did I beat them? Red zone. We had 3 trips. 1 touchdown, 1 field goal, 1 failure to score. They had 2 touchdowns, a field goal, and failed to score twice. There was no turnovers in this game whatsoever. I don't see how we beat them. How in the world did we beat them? Punt return, kick return yards were very minimal. Okay, here's something. Each team had 5 to 6 penalties, so very similar, but we had 45 yards. It was all 5-yard penalties, every single one that we had. They had 118 yards in penalties, which is an odd number, which makes you think that there was at least 1, if not 2 or 3 big pass interference ones. We got 10 points in the fourth quarter to come from behind to take this win. It was a 10-10 halftime score. Ohio State led 17-10 heading into the fourth quarter before we put up 10 points there. Time of possession, hugely in their favor. Like I said, yardage was largely in their favor, but we made up nearly 100 yards. The difference, really, through penalties. My consistency is really helping me out, but I can see that Pitt can, when they want to, make up some serious ground on this center. We're already pushing midway through the top 5 category. We've got a long ways to go to commit status, and Pitt's not that far behind us, but Yeah. Same here with Folsom. Pitt backed off for a week. Now they're gaining again. I still think I'm going to end up dropping this wide receiver and moving on to somebody else sooner rather than later. So Sebastian's injury happened right at the beginning of that second game. So Ishmael took over and then had that big day. He's now led us through 3 victories, including against Ohio State then. Great sign of what's to come with him. It's hard to say because, again, it won't show me the quality of our opponents shown last week's. But Buffalo, 3-1, and we're on the road to open our MAC season. Looks like they've got a pretty good team this year. Never know. This could be the upset. At this point, though, I feel like if we could beat Ohio State and go 4-0 up to this stage, we should be the favorite for every game. You never know. There could be that one slip-up somewhere along the way. Buffalo could be one of the best candidates to make that happen. And that's exactly what's happened. Buffalo has beaten us. We dropped to 4-1. No longer ranked. Halfway into the season, we are 5-1 overall. Exactly where we expected to be, but just not how we expected to get there. Of course, injuries were a factor, and we had quite a few guys injured for the game we lost at Buffalo. But Pitt had a visit for week 7, ended up getting a huge boost, and we went from a little ways ahead with Pitt breathing down our neck to he went straight into commit status. So the big recruit that I desperately wanted, we lost him. Not the only one we lost either. As Mwamba, who I was comfortably ahead on Appalachian State, they end up getting him signed at the out of nowhere as well, because they had a visit too this particular week. We did get one of the 3-star guys we were after, though, the weak side linebacker. So that's one signing so far, and that frees up 150 hours for us to start getting after other guys. And meanwhile, we're still going to get the majority of the 9 we first went after. We should have all of them coming across the line sooner rather than later. But Dubose, the corner, Central Michigan, is getting awfully close to us. They've got a visit coming on week 13. We've got to get him signed prior to that. For now, we are holding him off. We could end up having a battle on this one, as it's awfully close. But next guys up. It's pretty clear that I want to put hours into these 2 guys. That we are number 1, right edge and right guard, 4-star recruits. Now I've got to fill some holes. In fact, I was already 1 guy down, and I've got 2 more to add in. So that's 15 of our hours for this week, and then we'll figure out what to do from there. The loss to Buffalo back in the day was 41-20. We've played quite a few games since then. Terrible performance against Miami. 31-30 at home against a really weak team, but at least we came away with victory. We definitely followed it up with a much better performance against a similar quality UMass, also at home, 47-3, and then we beat Bowling Green on the road 38-19. So we now have 4 games left. On the road at Toledo is easily the hardest game we have remaining, as they're 6-2, 4-0 in conference. Central Michigan is at home with a similar record. Ball State should be easy, and Kent State should be easy on the road. So two challenges definitely left. Another opportunity to slip up somewhere along the way here. Toledo's a 72 overall on the road, so decent team. That's still kind of the best that the conference can muster outside of our own. We should be winning the MAC championship quite comfortably, but, things happen, including injuries. Folsom, the wide receiver I was pretty worried about, we got him. We also had 4-star other wide receiver Coffee, the one we weren't contested on. And we get the road victory. So 8-1 now, few games to go. Check in on who might be leaving us. It looks like we've got 6 guys worried about playing style. The halfbacks in particular, they've been getting the share of the ball, the lion's share for years, and now all of a sudden we have a strong quarterback and wide receiver crew and not as strong at halfback. So just the natural tendency has shifted a little bit the other way. and a few of the halfbacks are worried about it. 2 tight ends are worried about pro potential. We've already talked about that one at length. And playing time. Only 2 players are worried about it right now, a right guard and wide receiver. Well, we pushed Dubose over the line to commit, but Central Michigan was close enough that we're now into a recruiting battle. They've also got an upcoming visit. We're in a bit of trouble for this one. A visit's cheap, and we've got Central Michigan at home. That is an ideal scenario. Either you win it or you lose it right then and there. So we'll set them up as championship contender for that one. And I think the shift our way and away from them, whoever wins that game is winning that recruit. 4-star quarterback also signed. We're doing really good. Yeah, we lost a couple guys, and we might lose a couple more along the way here, but compared to a typical year, we are on fire on getting recruits so far, and we've got quite a few over the line already. Here comes another 4-star right edge, Kaufman. So our first 6 guys are already over the line. That's really 6 of 8 anyway, over the line. 9th guy recruiting battle. This is it, folks. We got Central Michigan this week. They have gotten ahead of us finally. They've been chasing and closing that gap for a long time. We're both all in, but a win here is massive and will hurt them significantly. This game's going to be hugely important, not only to secure our 10th win of the season and put ourselves in the lock for the MAC championship, but it's also big for this recruit, for this corner. Central Michigan is yet another 72 overall, 4-2 in conference, now 7-3, so they did not have a very good last couple of weeks. I think with back-to-back losses, let's see if we can make it 3 in a row. We're at home. Massive game for the sake of a recruit. And we lost it. Central Michigan has beaten us. We're going to lose out on that recruit. So for the 3rd year in a row, we are going to go into the MAC Conference Championship on 10 wins. 10-2. This time, though, instead of 7-1 in conference, only 6-2 in conference. Am I even playing in the MAC Championship? Yes, it says first in MAC, so we still have the best record. We are going to be playing in the MAC Championship. That's a big moment after taking a couple losses in conference this year. But we did lose the corner recruit in DeBose this week. And it's Miami. Miami we only beat by a single point. They're a lot better than I thought. 31-30 when we played them earlier this season. As for my second wave of recruits after that first group, so we ended up getting 6 out of the 9, with DeBose being the final one that's been decided after that battle. So good start overall. 5 of those are 4-star guys. So we've already got more 4-star guys than we got last year, where we had 4. We've already matched the best I think we've had for any year prior with that. But then in our second wave, we're in it, and we got enough of a head start on a lot of programs that we've still got a good chance to get some of these signatures. I don't think we're going to get them all. We've got a 4-star right edge with us ahead, but we've got a long ways to go to get to the finish line. Right guard, into the final phase now. Enough of a head start. We could probably hold off SMU. Probably. 5-star. One of those 5 stars. I had to let the other go, but UCLA was the only one chasing for a while. Miami is now chasing, and Miami's making up more ground. UCLA has not made up ground on us, and we've only just broken into the top 5. So we've got a long ways to go, and he's not that keen on us. I have a feeling we're going to end up losing this one, and it looks like not to UCLA, but probably Miami. 4-star, halfback, starting to pull ahead there. Still early in the process, but that means we've got up to 4 more 4 stars or better. Up to. So we could end up, and I would think more like we'll get probably 2 of these, maybe 3 of these, 7 or 8 4-star or better guys, which is insane. That's a big step in the right direction. After that, landing 3 stars is going as it typically does. We've got a battle or 2, safety, corner, always that position first and foremost. So I've really learned my lessons there. And so I'm a little more keen on signing those guys. Here's a 50 hours, and we're still losing to, I can't even tell you who that particular T would stand for. It's an unknown. I don't know how they're out recruiting me. MAC championship game, Miami's a 71 overall. Of course, we're going to be in Detroit for this one, so it's neutral territory. We should definitely be the favorite. But again, we only beat them by a single point last time, so something about them, they know what they're doing. We are 20th in the rankings heading into this game. We've been hovering in the top 25 for quite a while. We've slipped out a couple times and bounced right back in a week later with just those 2 losses this year. That Ohio State signature victory helping us a lot. But I think at 20th, even if we win the MAC championship, I don't think it's going to be enough to get into the playoff for this year. Just a decent bowl game. And it's a loss. Second straight year we've lost the MAC championship, so we are not a dominant force in the conference yet. We are a force in the conference. We're a favorite, but we've only won 1 in the last 3. Sebastian breaks the career passing yards record, though, and career passing touchdowns record. I think he actually might have had it last year already. USC's quarterback Mappa, 52 touchdowns, 4,700 yards, 66% completion percentage, is this year's Heisman winner. And Kessenberry, our tight end, 75 catches, 946 yards, and 7 touchdowns. John Mackey Award, best tight end in the nation. We're going to be at Boise State for the Arizona Bowl. So we're heading back to the Arizona Bowl. Top 25 matchup as both teams are ranked. Close matchup, but Boise State's got to be the favorite, at least by a little bit. They're an 85 overall, 89 offense, but we do have a slightly better defense than them. So it looks like Donahue picked up his prestige this year, and Cardi actually lost some. I gained some. I'm now an A in prestige. Well, this is definitely not the way we wanted to wrap up this season, right? That late loss to Central Michigan, and then losing the MAC championship to Miami by 3 points, 38-35. We could not get the second victory against them, and then losing a close one to Boise State as well, 38-33. We're a team that's close. We're there. We're getting better. But one massive difference between this season and prior seasons is our combined opponent record had been, for a long time, about 50-50 win-loss ratio. Last year, it was definitely better than that. The last couple of years, it's been a little bit better than that. This year, 97-69. 97-69 combined opponent record. That's a lot more wins than losses. So we had a lot of tough opponents on the schedule this year, but still ultimately disappointing end of the season, losing the conference and the bowl game. We do get a 10-win year, but only 10-4, and it actually ends up being our weakest in the last few years, even though our team was slightly the best it's been. Now, the defense did slip off a little bit from last year, but otherwise it's the best offense we've ever had, and it's the best overall rating we've ever had. So, yeah, you could have hoped for slightly more out of the team this year. And the 2037 season wraps up with a Texas National Championship after beating Alabama, the 4 seed, so 2v4. 28-24 in a pretty close national championship game. And despite the loss, the double losses to end the year, we actually do still end up ranked in the top 25, only just though. Miami was number 1. They slipped to number 2. They were not undefeated, though, 12-2, so no undefeated teams this year. In fact, every team in the nation had at least a couple losses, with the exception of Louisiana Tech, pulling a big surprise, going 13-0. They were an 80 overall. Conference USA team probably was in the playoff, I would imagine, at 9, right? They should have made the playoff. They just lost in the first round there. But we end up the final team in the rankings at 25th. Central Michigan finished 10-3 and 23rd. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.